How does a country that once built knockoffs of old Soviet aircraft end up creating a fighter jet that makes Western analysts sit up straight? How did China go from reverse engineering 1950s MiGs to fielding a machine that can duel with Gripens, chase Rafales, and even worry American planners? Was the J-10 really a homegrown Chinese innovation? Or does it carry a few skeletons in its design closet, maybe even one draped in an Israeli flag? Today on Next Level Warfare, we're taking you inside the story of the J-10 Vigorous Dragon, a jet once dismissed as second-rate, now armed with missiles that can reach farther than almost anything in the sky. It's the early 1980s. China's Air Force, the PLAAF, is in trouble. Its frontline jets are J-7s and J-8s, basically upgraded MiG-21s and MiG-19s, designs that were already antiques. Facing an increasingly modern Soviet arsenal to the north and US allies to the east, Beijing needed something bold. The PLAAF commander proposed the unthinkable: build an advanced fighter domestically. No copying, no imports, no hand-me-downs. Against the odds, the government approved and allocated 500 million yuan, a huge sum for China at the time. 3 companies pitched designs. Shenyang offered an F-16 style fighter, Hongdu wanted to copy the MiG-23, but Chengdu Aerospace took the risk. Their design featured a delta wing with canards, reminiscent of Sweden's Saab Viggen. This was a bold step, aerodynamic, agile, and futuristic for China's aerospace industry. Behind the project stood chief designer Song Wen-song, often called the father of the J-10. His mission was clear: create China's first truly modern fighter, with fly-by-wire controls, advanced aerodynamics, and a powerful domestic engine, the WS-10. But dreams are easy. Building them is not. Development dragged through the 1980s. Money dried up, priorities shifted, and the engine program faltered. Then came the Gulf War in 1991. American F-15s and F-16s effortlessly dominated Iraqi skies, and Chinese generals realized just how obsolete their fleet had become. To buy time, China imported Russian Su-27s and even got a license to build them at home. But the J-10 project wasn't abandoned. It surged back to life, with new urgency. By the early 1990s, Chengdu had a mock-up ready. The problem was the WS-10 engine. It didn't work. It was underpowered, unreliable, and nowhere near ready. China turned once again to Russia, buying AL-31FN engines, the same ones used in the Su-27. That meant redesigning the J-10 to fit its new heart. Air inlets, structure, and internal systems had to be reworked. But the speed with which Chengdu pulled this off raised eyebrows. And then came the whispers: had China received outside help? Enter Israel's Lavi fighter. The Lavi was a single-engine Delta Canard jet developed in the 1980s with heavy U.S. funding. It was cancelled in 1987 after only prototypes were built. And if you put the Lavi and the J-10 side by side, the resemblance is hard to ignore. Officially, both China and Israel deny any transfer of designs. But we know Israeli delegations visited China in the mid-1980s, selling Python 3 missiles and exploring defense cooperation. Israel had blueprints lying around for a cancelled fighter, and China desperately needed help. Was there an exchange? Maybe. The evidence is circumstantial, but many analysts believe the J-10 owes at least part of its DNA to the Lavi. On March 23, 1998, after nearly 20 years of struggle, prototype 101 lifted off for its first flight. Test pilot Li Gang took the Vigorous Dragon into the sky. For China, this was more than just a jet. It was a declaration: we can build advanced fighters. The first production model, the J-10A, entered service in 2004. By 2006, over 150 were operational. Agile and fast, the jet gave the PLAAF a serious upgrade. But it was still a mixed bag. Its radar was outdated, its weapons limited, and its ground attack abilities primitive. The J-10A proved the concept: but it wasn't yet world-class. Unveiled in 2008, the J-10B introduced real improvements. The biggest was its diverterless supersonic inlet, or DSI. This clever design smoothed airflow, improved performance at high speeds, and reduced radar signature. No moving parts, less weight, and stealthier. The nose was reshaped for a new radar, likely an AESA or advanced PESA array. Inside, the cockpit went fully digital with glass displays. For the first time, the pilot had modern situational awareness. And the weapons? The J-10B could fire the PL-12 Beyond Visual Range missile and drop precision-guided bombs. It was no longer just a fighter, it was a true multi-role jet. But the B model was produced in small numbers. Think of it as a test bed. It let China iron out its radar, avionics, and intake technology, paving the way for the real star of the show. The J-10C, first flown in 2013 and operational by 2016, was the Vigorous Dragon fully grown. China had finally mastered AESA radar technology, giving the J-10C powerful tracking, electronic warfare, and multi-role capabilities. It integrated modern data links, targeting pods, and advanced avionics. The jet could finally go head-to-head with the latest Western designs. But its true leap came in weaponry. The PL-10 short-range missile offered high agility and helmet sight targeting, rivaling America's AIM-9X. The PL-15, however, changed the game entirely. With a range beyond 200 kilometers and advanced active radar guidance, it could strike targets far beyond the reach of most Western missiles. Some even considered it superior to the AIM-120D, rivaling Europe's Meteor. Suddenly, the J-10C wasn't just respectable. It was dangerous. Despite its new power, the J-10C hit an export roadblock. Most units still relied on Russian AL-31 engines. Moscow refused to let China sell fighters powered by their technology. After all, who would buy a Russian jet if China was selling a rival using the same engines? Only when the J-10C was equipped with China's domestic WS-10B engine could it finally go abroad. The WS-10B wasn't perfect, its service life of 1,500 to 2,400 hours was still behind Western engines, but it was good enough. Enter Pakistan. Longtime Chinese ally, frequent buyer of Chinese arms. Islamabad ordered the export version, the J-10CE, at around $75 million per aircraft, including support and weapons. Compared to Western alternatives, it was a bargain. In joint exercises, Pakistan's J-10CEs reportedly outperformed Thai Gripens and even held their own against Chinese Su-35s. The Dragon was proving itself. In May 2025, tensions flared along the India-Pakistan border. A high-intensity air clash followed. Pakistan claimed its J-10CEs, armed with PL-15s, downed multiple Indian aircraft, including a MiG-29, a Mirage, and even a French Rafale. India denied the losses, but wreckage of missiles and at least one fighter was recovered inside Indian territory. Whether the claims are fully true or not, the fact remains, the J-10 had finally drawn blood. For China, that meant something priceless, real-world combat data on its fighter and its missiles. Today, more than 350 J-10s serve in China's Air Force and Navy. It's not stealthy like the J-20, and it's not as heavy as the J-16, but it fills a crucial role, a modern, affordable, multi-role fighter. It's also evolving. Future variants may feature conformal fuel tanks for longer range, advanced electronic warfare systems, and two-seat versions designed to work with drones. Most importantly, the J-10 proved that China could innovate, not just imitate. It showed the world that Chinese aerospace engineering had arrived. The Vigorous Dragon may not breathe literal fire. But when it launches a PL-15 beyond the horizon, its roar is heard across the world. China no longer copies. It creates. And every time a J-10C takes off, the world takes notice.